Welcome to another science exploration. Today, we're going to explore about adaptations, and we will deep dive into the adaptations of plants and animals in the desert environment. We are going to look at 9 examples to explore how plants and animals adapt in the desert environment. Get ready for a real adventure, everyone. At first glance, a desert just looks, well, hot, dry, and maybe a little empty, right? But underneath that blazing sun is a hidden world of biological superpowers just waiting to be discovered. So, as we jump into these 9 examples, let me tell you, we aren't just talking about your average, everyday plants and animals. No way. These guys, they are the absolute ultimate survival experts of the natural world. It's like a superpower safari. All right, let's get right into it. Now let's look at adaptations in desert plants, surviving the sands. Imagine standing outside in the scorching summer heat without a water bottle. Pretty tough, right? Well, our very first survival expert, the mighty saguaro cactus, doesn't have a water bottle either. But look at the sheer size of it. Its primary adaptation technique is water storage, specifically using succulent tissues. So when it actually does finally rain in the desert, this cactus doesn't just take a polite little sip. Oh no. It drinks up massive amounts of water and stores it right inside its thick, fleshy stem. Actually, that stem literally expands, kind of like a giant green water balloon blowing up, or maybe an accordion stretching out. Then, during those super long, dry periods when there's just not a drop of rain in sight, it slowly and carefully uses that stored water to stay alive. It acts exactly like a giant natural water tank towering right over the desert floor. Next up, check out this spiky beauty, the agave plant. Now, the sun in the desert is basically constantly trying to evaporate whatever precious moisture a plant holds onto. So how does the agave fight back? Its adaptation technique is a waxy coating, which is also known in science as a cuticle. Take a really close look at those thick leaves shining under the sun. They're covered in this thick, waxy layer that completely seals the water inside. It physically prevents that precious moisture from escaping into the hot, dry air. Think about it like this. You know when your lips get dry in the winter and you put on lip balm? Well, the agave plant is basically wearing a full bodysuit of natural lip balm to trap its moisture inside. It is absolutely a brilliant defense against that baking sun. Let's keep going and see how this builds with the amazing mesquite tree. Now, just looking at it on the surface, it really just looks like a nice, regular shady tree. But the real magic? That's happening completely underground. Its primary adaptation technique is its deep and wide root systems. The mesquite tree uses this total genius dual strategy. First off, its roots can grow extremely deep. We are talking over 50 meters down into the earth. That is literally half the length of a football field digging straight down through the sand just to reach hidden underground water. But wait, that's not all. Some of its roots also spread out super wide, right near the surface. And why do they do that? So that when a sudden, rare rainstorm hits, those shallow roots can quickly slurp up all the water before it evaporates. Reach deep for the hidden water and catch the quick surface showers. That is some true desert teamwork happening right inside one single tree. Now here is a wild secret that only happens when the sun goes down. Look at this beautiful cactus under the starry night sky. Its adaptation technique is nighttime gas exchange, scientifically known as CAM photosynthesis. So, like all living things, plants need to breathe by exchanging gases. But if a desert plant opens its tiny leaf pores during the blazing hot day, all of its inner water will immediately evaporate and just be lost to the hot wind. So what do these clever cacti do instead? They keep their pores tightly shut all day long. Yep, closed for business. They only open their pores at night during the much cooler hours to take in the air they need. It's a brilliantly sneaky way to breathe without losing a single drop of precious moisture. And for our last plant expert, we have the totally spectacular desert wildflowers. Now, you might look at a totally dry patch of sand and think, yep, absolutely nothing is there. But underneath, thousands of tiny seeds are just waiting. Their adaptation technique is dormancy and rapid growth. These incredible little seeds have the patience of a superhero, honestly. They can remain completely dormant, which basically means they are fast asleep for years and years in the harsh sand. They just wait and wait and wait. But the exact moment a rare rainfall finally hits that desert floor, boom, they wake up instantly and spring into rapid growth. They bloom incredibly fast to complete their entire life cycle before the water disappears again. It's literally like watching magic bloom right out of the dust. All right, shifting gears. Now let's hop over to adaptations in desert animals, critters of the heat. Okay, you simply cannot talk about the desert without talking about the iconic camel, right? Look at this majestic animal standing proudly out there. Its adaptation technique is all about water conservation and storage. Now, I want to bust a really famous myth for you right now. A lot of people think that the big hump on the camel's back is just filled with sloshing water. But guess what? It's really not. The camel actually stores fat in its humps. And this is where the science gets super cool. Their bodies can brilliantly convert that stored fat into both energy and water when they're running low. Because of this amazing internal chemistry lab, a camel can literally survive for days and days without taking a single drink of water, all while walking miles under the baking sun. Mind-blowing, right? Okay, get ready for some serious cuteness. This is the fennec fox. Look at those absolutely oversized, gigantic ears. Notice how those ears aren't just for hearing tiny insects moving underground. No, their main adaptation technique is heat dissipation. Those massive ears act exactly like built-in air conditioners. As blood flows through all the tiny veins inside those giant ears, the heat from the fox's body escapes out into the cooler air, bringing its overall body temperature way down. Plus, take a look at its beautifully light-colored fur. That fur acts as a natural shield, literally reflecting the harsh desert sunlight right off its body. It keeps the little guy perfectly chilled out on the hot sand. Let's move to our next friend, the amazing desert tortoise. When the sun is turning the surface of the desert into a literal frying pan, what do? Well, you get off the surface. The tortoise's adaptation technique is burrowing behavior. See, the tortoise acts as a master desert architect. Using its strong, scaly legs, it digs deep underground burrows and just lives inside them to escape the extreme surface heat. Down in the burrow, the earth maintains a much, much cooler and safer temperature. It's basically their own personal air-conditioned basement where they can relax, take a nap, and stay cool while the entire desert completely bakes up above them. And for our ninth and final survival expert, I have got to introduce you to a tiny creature with the absolute ultimate superpower, the Namib desert beetle. This little guy's adaptation technique is water collection from the environment. This beetle lives in areas where there is almost zero rainfall, none. So how on earth does it drink? Well, every morning, a thick fog rolls over the desert. The beetle climbs to the very top of a sand dune, points its body up into the air, and just lets the fog hit its back. The moisture in the fog condenses into tiny, glowing water droplets on special little bumps on its shell. Then, thanks to the perfect slope of its body, those droplets roll right down the grooves on its back and plop straight into its waiting mouth. Talk about catching your breakfast straight out of thin air. Now, as our desert sun begins to set on this exploration, let's move into the final thought, masters of survival. So, the absolutely crucial point to take away from our time together today is this. Desert adaptations show us exactly how life can survive and even thrive with almost zero water and extreme temperatures. From cacti storing water like giant balloons, to foxes with air-conditioned ears, and camels that use their own fat to create hydration, every single organism has evolved precise, mind-blowing strategies to overcome scarcity. The desert isn't some barren wasteland, it is a powerful, living example of survival through absolute efficiency and innovation. It really makes you wonder, what other incredible survival secrets does nature have hidden out there in the wild? If you find the video informative, please like the video. Thanks.